Thank you so. I'm all mic'd up. Thank you so much, Trudy. Look, you're probably sitting there going, "God, she looks like shit." I do. I feel like shit. I was sitting there going, I don't even think I can get up. But one of my colleagues have just popped me a couple of pills. They are only Panadol. But I just returned from 3 weeks in Europe. Oh yes, my name's Juanita, Neville to Rito. Some of you incredibly disappointed. I don't look Mexican. I don't have a flamenco dress. I have a little bit of an Australian accent, but I am now a Kiwi. I'm a dual passport holder. And I have a Maori surname. Where did the name Juanita come from? No idea. My brothers and sisters are Justine, Emma, Michael, and Mark. So a little bit about me. Crazy nutbar who wants to fall asleep right now. But as Trudy had said, I've just spent the last 3 weeks in Europe doing a retail experience and customer experience study tour. And I get really, really excited about that because what that means, and part of what I've been doing in our consultancy for the last 10 to 15 years is exploring the world through our connections and understanding what does good look like internationally. And I'm going to go through some of, well, not my best stuff, because I keep my best stuff for later on when you're going to pay me some money for it. But I'm going to go through some of what happens around the world, and this is particularly important for us. We get our learnings internationally of what is happening with consumers, and it was really interesting from what Greg said about sustainability, and we've been doing quite a lot of work in the last week on sustainability, especially seeing what's happening internationally. We're seeing, especially in the US, people are starting to shift their behaviour. I found that really interesting given I stood up in Primark, God knows why, with my daughter. I took my daughter on my study tour. I thought, come and learn about the business as well. She's 15. I actually just wanted someone to talk to along the way as well. But standing in Primark and you're going, are people really putting their money where their mouth is? I need the clicker. See, I was up at 4 o'clock this morning. I am incredibly tired. But I couldn't miss this opportunity when David asked me to come and speak. I'm like, yeah, sure. I can bring along my 30 years of experience. And it's not just as someone who looks and observes the market. I worked for the first part of my career in C-suite. I had worked, especially for the first or the second period, Trans-Tasman between here and Australia. I'm the lady who created the one card that you all use. It was the one card that was going to do everything. We didn't know back then that you were going to have a phone that did stuff, but imagine if we could have that insight into our customers' wallet, understanding what made them tick, their needs, their wants and desires, and then what if we could take that to optimise the best experience? Now, I talk to some people, friends, who go, oh, so you work in manipulating people, do you? And it's like, no, it's not about manipulation. It actually is about helping our customers achieve their best life and make a profit. And your ability to get those insights from the customers means that you can deliver a better experience. And one of the things that we used to see back in the day, and any of you who work with the merchandise team, we're in the colouring in department, and they'd come through and they say, oh my gosh, we're going to rearrange the store and we're getting rid of 3 of these 7 lots of olive oil. And we'd be able to go into the data and say, actually, do you know our most profitable customers buy that olive oil? And as a result of that, we would be able to take that data, that customer insight, and make sure that we could exceed and meet their needs and wants. And even then, no one talked about it, but that was being customer-led. And that's what happens when you start to optimise retail engagement. So I'm going to talk about that today, a little bit of the experiences that I've had, what we see internationally. And in my current guys in RetailX, we work with a number of clients in helping them become more compelling, making sure that they deliver experiences that engage with customers' hearts, minds and wallets, and more importantly, be profitable. And that's something that Greg talked about in particular, is that we sit in New Zealand and we are not even the size of the market of Sydney. But we have such incredible complexity. I am going to have a chat to him about the people he's going, oh, just go online. No, customers now expect you to show up whenever, wherever, or however meets their need, wants, and desires. And you'll start to see, especially internationally, all those pure player operators are now moving into a bricks and mortar experience. Doesn't mean that you have to have a store, but it means you need to show up at a time and a place that actually is there for the customer when you need that. We're going to explore that a little bit further. Oh, and Trudy, I didn't get the memo on not doing a sales job. These are all the wonderful people that we work with. If by the end of this you think we're okay, feel free to give me a call. Sorry, David, had to take the opportunity. But if there is one thing that has stood out, and I've been in retail for a long time, I lied for my first job. At 13, I worked in a bakery. I told them I was 15. Not a shit show in hell I looked like that. But I loved A, making money, and B, interacting with people. And there's a lot of stuff that's happened in retail in those times. Some of you around here, especially the front table, are too young to remember. There was a time when there wasn't point of sale. We had cash registers. We used to get the money and put it in a thing and throw it up through a thing that went through the roof up to the top office for banking. We didn't have self-scanning, and there were a whole bunch of other things, RFID, automated warehouses. None of that existed. It was just bloody hard work. But if there was one thing that has happened, particularly in the last couple of years with COVID, is what we've seen is the amplification of customers leaning in even more into the things that were sort of teetering. I sit with some retailers who'd go, oh, actually I'm not going to say who they are, but you'll guess, really big department store here in New Zealand about 6, 7, 10 years ago. Oh, the online stuff, like it was a thing under the table. Oh, yep, it's still here. Oh, we're not going to do that online thing, a website. Because, we've got stores, customers aren't going to need to do that. Don't even, know how to text on this phone thing here. We've seen this increasing move. Even my mother-in-law bought a, what do you call those things you wash your clothes in? Washing machine, sorry, that's really tired. A washing machine online over COVID. And my father-in-law sat there going, oh my God, someone's going to steal our identity and we'll be gone forever. But you see a generation who have leaned into this. And now my mother has an app on her phone that she does a grocery. She does the list and she orders and all of that sort of stuff. So we've seen people adopt behaviours that were teetering on the edge, but more importantly, it gave you guys in particular an opportunity at the board table to step up and go, this is really important. But with that, there is a challenge, and it means that retail has got far more complex. You'll go, oh my God, my day job is I just need to get up and engage these customers, and now I have to worry about a plethora of other ways that we engage. We call them channels. That's an internal industry term. Customers call it consistency. And with that requires a whole lot of effort, and often in retail it's lean, man. You go to the board and ask for some more money and they're asking you how you're going to get a 5% increase year on year on last year. So it's really, really tough, and we need to also find a way to upskill our people, because customer experience, as Greg talked to, and customer service are those areas that we really engage with customers and we go one-to-one with them. We need to train our people with new skills to be able to do that. And it means that internally we need to develop new ways of operating so that we can free up their ability to go and interface with the customers. Greg talked to a word, omni-channel, which I hate. I hate it, because channel is the language of business. Consistency is the language of customers. And what they're looking for is a total experience. And with that, they have set the bar incredibly high. You think about your own behaviour. I think about my behaviour. The other day, where was I? somewhere in Italy, I had to drop it in, somewhere in Italy there was no Uber, but then I was going to the airport on Monday. So I flew back in Monday morning and changed over my clothes, kissed the dog, the husband, packed another bag and then headed to Christchurch for a client's conference that I was speaking at. And I went on the phone to book an Uber. Do you know how long it was going to be? 15 minutes for the Uber to come. Jesus Christ, I thought I was going to walk there quicker. Our expectations have changed. Things like Netflix, Uber Eats, a whole bunch of things. And New Zealand, you know, I had to wait for my coffee for 4 people the other day? Really? They need to get their shit together? Our expectations have changed. We haven't raised the bar as customers, we've knocked that bar off. And for that, in your total experience, is remembering when you're trying to engage with customers is that yesterday's excellence is tomorrow's expectation. You think about that. Yesterday's excellence is tomorrow's expectation. And that's not just, you know, I was at the Farmlands conference. They can't compare themselves to PGG and FarmSource. They have to actually compare themselves to Mitre 10 and Countdown and Foodstuffs. That's what the playing field is of expectation. So that's something really critically important to remember. And with that is a whole lot of pain and excitement. And that means you're constantly going to need to reinvent your experiences and not stand still and test and learn and be okay that it's not perfect the first time. And know that customers actually forgive you for that because they're used to new releases and updates and an app update coming through. So they're okay when it's not perfect, but they can see when you're doing it with authenticity and they can also see that you're making an effort. So that's particularly important to keep in mind as well. So with that, I probably talked about nothing I'd anticipated about talking first up. But what I thought was always incredibly handy is to use examples to illustrate where these opportunities exist. And for that today, I've clustered it into 5 areas. Now, I could talk about the things that customer demand, which is convenience and value and personalization and all of that sort of stuff, what they expect. But I'm talking about the opportunities that actually exist within retail marketing and retail engagement. Because that's where, if we look at what good looks like internationally, you can take those learnings and apply them to your business. And you go, well, how the hell am I going to do that? I don't have the money of Nike or Sephora or Selfridges. But what you do have is the ability to have insight, to take that and apply it to your market. And that's what I want you to do today. Think about the friction points or the pain points for your customer. Have a look at what these businesses have done, and that's where you're going to find your magic gold. Friction and pain points for the customer. So let's get into it. And the first one is all about showing up. And we're talking about showing up next level. Rather than me speak, I'll have a little breather, wake up again, and let's have a look at someone who showed up in a significant way.
The Traffic Jam Whopper. We used real-time data to detect our potential buyers in a traffic jam to offer them a Whopper and deliver on the move.
Fernanda, buenos días. Señor Eduardo, buenas tardes.
Ay, qué bello.
Llegaste en chinga, cabrón. Me cagaba de hambre.
Our media was 100% dynamic, promoting our service only in high congestion zones. By leveraging traffic and drivers' real-time data, we adjusted our billboards' location and content. The messages displayed information about the remaining time in traffic to order and personalized updates about deliveries in progress. Also, Waze banner ads and push notifications invited drivers to get a Whopper as soon as they entered our delivery zones. People were able to use voice commands to place the order and avoid tickets. Finally, using the latest Google Maps APIs, our app pinpointed vehicle location and speed in order to deliver for the first time ever to a driver on the move. The delivery zones changed following the traffic live, making our service available when a gridlock was identified, always within a 3-kilometer radius from the restaurants.
Hola Mariana, ¿cómo estás?
Ay, te agarraría besos.
Lo siento, estoy en servicio.
In just 1 week, we increased delivery orders by 63%, and our daily app download rate increased 44 times, becoming the #1 fast food app, surpassing McDonald's, Domino's, and Starbucks in Mexico. Coming soon, Los Angeles, San Paulo, and Shanghai. The Traffic Jam Whopper.
Enjoy the traffic jam.
Now, what an incredible way to show up. It's a bloody burger, for God's sake. And who knew that you were hungry in the traffic? Now, this is actually a couple of years old and has rolled out to a number of other markets. But if you think about the stats that you heard about, they increased their downloads of their app and they beat pizzas and Subways. And so it wasn't just about a burger, but what an amazing way to show up. I mean, showing up is being where I want, when I want, and how I want. And another business that has been incredibly good at doing this is Starbucks. Now, this is a concept that is in, God, I think it's Shanghai from memory. I haven't been to it yet, but what happens, if you think about Starbucks, they've always wanted to be the third place. And I know Starbucks is shit coffee, but when you're overseas and you want some reliability, it's actually quite good. And a lot of people do love it, and they love the frappes and whatever else. And coffee is an emotional thing. I actually think I lost a little bit of weight overseas because I haven't been having 3 coffees a day. I have full milk, actually oat milk, very calorific apparently. My mother-in-law told me I'd lost weight apparently. She was so kind. She's actually really amazing. Like, it was, oh, thank you. I look like a shit, but I lost weight. But I wasn't having that emotional engagement every morning with coffee that customers do have. But you think about how critically busy you are in the morning. And then there's this complexity for Starbucks going, shit, I'm the third place and I need to be everywhere. And if you've heard recently, Starbucks has actually started to close down some of their locations. But what they did with this location is they started to show up for not only their customers, but for their partners and their employees. And in this concept, what happens is really, you just go onto your app and you order and you come in and you click and collect and you wander out. There's no third place here to sit and do whatever you do in a Starbucks. But what is critically important when you start to think about the team and about the partners is that you'll see over in the corner there's some little hot boxes. And that meant that the guys who come and do the delivery could actually go over and get the product without having to interface with a staff member. So we reduced what our staff are focusing on. And the other thing is it maintained the integrity of the product because you want your product either hot or cold. The third thing that it does is it makes sure that the staff that you put into this store are the best barista, with speed, best baristas with speed. And that meant that you could deploy the other baristas to nearby locations where people are actually coming to linger longer. So that experience when you talk to the barista or you interact is a far more pleasurable experience. And what happens now is that at the other Starbucks locations around there, all of their click and collect orders are actually reallocated to this store. So what they're doing is heightening the experience for a number of people. And I don't know if you've ever seen an Uber Eats guy when he walks into a Macca's or it's the last place he wants to be is to interact with someone. He just wants the number to get his stuff and go. And so this has enabled that. So that's a little bit about showing up. But one of the things that you would have seen within that and that became very, very obvious is about delivering frictionless experiences. And that's what I talked about previously, is finding what those pain points are. Did we actually know a pain point was that when we hop out of the car, we didn't want to have to pull out our money and pay? Actually, some days I don't even want to speak to anyone. I actually went to a beta test. It was pre-COVID now, with a lady called Nadia Sharabrova. And she's this amazing Russian chick who worked for Amazon in the AI space. And what she did also in terms of frictionless experiences to develop this capability. And we're in a beta store where you went and you scanned and you got your jeans in this gallery of a store, and they popped into your go to change room 3. They popped in, but before you entered the store, you could say if you didn't want to speak to anyone or not. And so you'd go and you go, don't want to speak to anyone. They'd all you'd turn it on, turn it off, and they're like, yeah, it's lots of fun. But there's some days you just don't want to talk to anyone at all. So I can't even remember where I was going with that. Frictionless experiences. Let's get into it. Understanding that customers' time is important, and the other thing too is that from a low touch perspective has been really heightened since the pandemic. Now this here is a combined Starbucks Amazon Go store. Is everyone familiar with Amazon Go? You've got the app, you go into the store, you don't have to speak to anyone, you pull the product off the shelf and you simply walk out. Completely frictionless, except if you're in London and you've downloaded the app and you're from New Zealand and it won't let you in and you sit there for 15 minutes going, fuck, because every other time you've gone, you've been with the people from Amazon so you can get in and out. Let me tell you a story though. If you ever do get into one of these stores, you can take wine and when you get your receipt, tell them that you didn't, and they'll go, oh, that's okay, and they'll just give it to you for free. And I know that because my friend actually worked on it. She goes, oh my God, you can get everything for free. But anyway, and the other thing is with these apps too, with the Amazon Go, is that they blow out their average ticket because what happens because you're not paying, you're in and out all the time. And so talk about people putting on weight, the office workers all around were just constantly buying stuff. So suffice to say, what we've got here is an environment where people can come on the go and get their coffee, but also move speedily through an experience without having to interact with teams members. And why this is important is for many of us, recruiting team members is very incredibly difficult. So how do I maintain that level of my brand experience and the integrity of my product while still meeting or exceeding customer expectations? But Amazon's gone one step further, which is Amazon One, which is using biometric technology where you can actually just scan your hand. And this is being utilised in the US. Now, some of you may have seen in the media the furor around the biometric technology that's used in a number of retails and facial recognition. But imagine a world where we don't even need the phone. We just use our hand to get in and out. I'm off to have a look at this later this year. But think about what else that can do to apply to other industries, like if we're going to a concert, getting through with tickets or hospitality. I think there'll be a roaring trade of chopping people's hands off and buying goods, but that's another thing altogether. But really delivering an area of limited friction for the customer. Oh, this is friction being surpassed at its best. Include that because that is a store in Russia, but is an outstanding store which utilises a number of pieces of technology, including biometric tracking. When you walk in, it profiles your face, serves you your previous orders, and then it goes through an entire automation process to deliver your food to order, quick, hot and fast. And if any of you have been in QSR, one of the key pain points is getting the right order to you quick, hot and fast. An exceptional utilisation of technology to be able to deliver a frictionless experience. I got a little bit of a nod over here. I've got to go a little bit faster, although I think the lovely speaker after me said I can have some of his time. Thank you so much. But I want to get into the third area, was personalisation. Personalisation is very obvious, but think of yourself as a customer. We give organisations shitloads of data, don't we? Yep. My name, my age, my dog, how old my dog is, the sex of my dog, my children, all of that stuff. And what the hell do people do with it? Sometimes squat all. And increasingly, it is our expectation as a customer, well, if I'm going to give you this valuable data, I need you to use it to deliver me an exceptional experience. Now, one of the best in the world, survey after survey after survey, finds that the best organisation in the world for the utilisation of personalisation is Sephora. I don't shop at Sephora, I'll be really honest. I love Mecca. I love when I get the email saying I'm a level 3 loop. The new box is out, and every time I do, I've got to go and spend another $25 to get all those samples, none of which I ever use, but I feel amazing about it, being a VIP shopper. And you also get a free makeup session once a year as well. That makes you feel good. I buy shit I don't need, but I feel amazing. And they use the data to serve me products. But Sephora goes next level, and they have for a number of times, including through their app. And what they do seamlessly is you are you wherever you are, whether you're online, whether you're in store. But what I want to talk about is over here on this side, which is a new innovation that they've got, which is an interactive mirror. And what this mirror uses is, again, AI, as well as a whole heap of other information that it has gathered to have a look at you and serve to you information about what products you may need, what perfume might complement the outfit that you're wearing, what lipstick shade might go with the scarf that you have on. So what they've taken is they've taken an online experience that we've typically had and taken it into a physical environment. And they've gone another step further as well. Through AI, what also is empowered is what's happening around my environment. What's the weather like? Is it sunny? What's the long-term forecast going to be like? So you might need a little bit of hydration at the start of the week, or you might need a warm, earthy tone perfume towards the end of the week. So that is taking it to another level of personalisation. Nike is another example of this, and you'll see sometime in 2023, a Nike Live store will open here in Auckland. But what Nike does in terms of a level of personalisation, whether you go into a House of Innovation store or whether you go into a Nike Live or a Nike Style, is it takes the information from all the people who are athletes in that area, and anyone with a body can be an athlete, and they take that information to help serve you important stuff around what people are wearing and what's the latest trends and how you can enhance your athletic capability by using all that data and serving you the stuff that's relevant to you. The other thing that they do is throughout their experiences is allow you to then personalise that product for yourself. And so recently when I was in the House of Innovation stores in both Paris and London, see I dropped it in again, I've also been to the New York one, but the lines, the queues outside to get a jersey or a shirt or some shoes and personalise them yourself are just incredible. And then at another level, that they can take that information on the app and you wander downstairs and you try and kick a ball faster than David Beckham. And then that feeds into other information that helps you become incredibly sticky with this organisation and go, actually, you've got my needs at heart. Another one that is one of my personal favourites, I've got a son who's a cyclist, is Rafa Clubhouse. Now, I got up really early to go into the store because watching it come alive is incredible. And these are some of my photos. What you'll see over here, this is 7 o'clock in the morning, and all these people have just done a ride around London, and they're coming in and they put their bikes away and then they go over and they have a coffee, that's them at the top, a different group, and they talk about their ride, and they'll be back 3-4 times a week. And on top of that, Rafa sells a whole bunch of product, but also takes from you what are your best rides. And they deliver all these other pieces of information. They go, do you want to do, the Tattersfield Tickler, by taking the information of people who have been there before you and done that. So this is a different level of personalisation, which is around a community, and really bringing together an environment where communities can thrive and foster. Now, back in the day, I tried to do something like this in a Countdown store, a community store, and the challenge was, and you'll face this yourself, is how can we prove the ROI on those square metres of space? But these people are customers for a lifetime, well, as long as they can get into the Lycra. And then they can go to any clubhouse anywhere in the world. And I can tell you from the amount of money I spend, it's significant. I'd rather get the stuff from Torpedo 7, but my son says, well, I'm a cycling enthusiast. I have to wear the right stuff. And hence he gets that because he's a spoiled child. There is another level of personalisation which are eyeball to eyeball. These are some of the other photos as well, which is eyeball to eyeball. And if any of you are in the QSR space or know, Chick-fil-A is always number one on customer service. And one of the things they do to disrupt the queue, when you think about your queue, is they go out and they stand in the queue and they'll take your order for you. So you're not sitting there waiting to get to the checkout window. And even more importantly, because they understand the friction points for parents, is that they will let you come through, place your order, and they will take that and set up a table for you inside so you can go and get your kids out of the car, and by the time you get to the table, dinner is served. So they've taken that personalisation and understanding the needs and wants and desires of those customers and delivered it in another way, very personally. I'm going to really speed through the last two areas because my time's up and I've gone off track a few times. But social commerce is one of those big game changers. Now, social commerce is effectively where you see it, click it, buy it, see it, like it, click, buy it, in the social environment that you are. And currently it's not particularly seamless. You know, if we look to Asia, they've been live streaming for a long time very successfully. It's because of the interaction between WhatsApp and, WePay and WeChat. And what we don't have here yet is that seamlessness of interaction. But there are a number of plays that are happening. And one I want to talk about in particular is with Walmart. They've been testing this for a couple of years now. Only a year, in TikTok, in Instagram, doing live streaming where you can purchase. I'm not going to go into this into great detail, but if you sign up to our newsletter, I'll make sure we cover it next month. And Gina, can you make sure that I do that? But one of the other big plays that are happening in the US is Talk Shop Live, and this is really where retailers are moving to, and it's a platform whereby that within the process of interacting, whether it's personality, as you can see, Walmart had used Jason Derulo, where you can look at products, hear about them, and purchase while they continue to talk about the benefits of those products. So social commerce is going to be a big play. If I was you, I'd be looking at what's going to be happening with live streaming and be there learning. Learning. Don't invest, all your bucks into it yet, but watch what's going to happen because, the financial component will catch up and customers want this seamlessness. Not having to step out of the app, buying, playing, completely moving through. Now, the very, very last area is purpose over profit. Customers have an expectation that you spend my money wisely and prudently and that you contribute to our communities and don't continue to mess up the world as we have already. And this manifests in a number of ways, and I think what we are seeing particularly in the UK and the US is there is a move towards actual purposeful spending. And there is a number of businesses that have been already playing in the space, not just necessarily about sustainability, about purpose, and REI is a wonderful example. This year will be the 8th year that they closed their doors on Black Friday, one of the biggest trading events of the year. No one works in a warehouse, no one works in a store. You get out and you play, and they're living their values, and they're living what's really important, and I think customers repay that over and over with their loyalty. This is a concept that I saw in Amsterdam, and it's H&M, and it's a rental thing, a rental store. And you go into the store and there's some fabulous clothes, and it's nothing like normal H&M, the shit that you throw away after you wear it for a season. They're making some very conscious plays because fast fashion needs to catch up in many ways around in its supply chain and the transparency. But what else can we deliver now with intent, and this rental opportunity has been making a significant impact. There is a point of friction. There was a lovely lady who spoke very little English or whatever else you speak in Amsterdam, and she wanted to buy some stuff. It's like, no, you can't. You can only rent it. But this has been going gangbusters, as to up the top where is their repair station. And they will let you bring in any clothes that you have, and they will repair it for you and give it a new sense of life. So the ability to create a re-commerce environment means that we can still try and get the hard stuff sorted while we make a play with intent in other areas. IKEA as well has just launched a week or two ago, or maybe a month ago, they've got this circular hub where you bring in your old IKEA products, they give you a gift voucher to use against new products, but they sell it. Now they've taken that online as well, as is, where you can reserve that product and then go in and see it. How am I going for time? I've blown it out of the park, probably. I'm okay? I'm all good. Wonderful. Oh, can I? Wonderful. I was going really, really fast. This is Loop. Loop was launched in 2019 at the World Economic Forum. And it really puts things on their head. It takes the ownership of packaging from the customer back to the producer. The first initial tests were online only, and what that meant, and Loop had established some incredible relationships with your Unilevers and Procter & Gamble's and the like, saying that, well, customers can order their product and it gets delivered to them in packaging that we own, which can be returned and it can be cleaned and it can be refilled and it can be resold. So that was the sort of beta test for that. And they did the first test in Carrefour in France, and I think they did another one in Loblaws as well in the US. And they've taken that now from online only to physically in store. And Woolworths Australia is the first to actually, in I suppose our immediate environment, to take that into store, whereas you can go in and there are products on the shelves that you buy and you take home, and then you return to the store in a sort of like a little chili bin with a QR code that then goes back. So there's still a little bit of friction in that, but it's really turned the model on the head, saying, well, there might be another way other than just taking all the plastic or whatever else there is in the supply chain to be able to deliver a more sustainable solution. So there's a whole lot in there. I'm sure you'll agree. I didn't put my really good stuff in, so you're going to have to find another conference I'm at and come to it to hear about it. No, it's just because there's too many photos. I think I've got about 1,000 photos. I'm like, oh, crap, that's right, I saw that as well. So much stuff happening overseas. One of the biggest things that I think, and sustainability is one, but there's a lot of greenwashing still going on out there, is the utilisation of QR codes. Everywhere you go, in Europe, and I know the same as the US, is the utilisation of QR codes to help either share information and facilitate a point of friction or to make shit happen, really. So that would be another area that I would encourage you to have a look at, because our customers are constantly seeking information. And especially when we talk about purpose over profit or sustainability, they want to know that you're putting your money where your mouth is. And that is an ability for you to have a channel with the customer to heighten and increase the sense of engagement that you have with them. And customers, especially in New Zealand, can actually be very forgiving when they see that you're giving it a go and making an effort. So, in summary, that's all very exciting. We are in New Zealand. We've just come out of a really shitty time. Recessionary factors are there. The cost of fuel is up. We can't get enough stuff. Supply chain screwed. How the hell am I going to do all this stuff as well? Oh, I don't know. You do know, but it requires a sense of courage. There's a whole lot of people out there go, do this, do that, which are genius ideas, but it's that sense of courage to actually be able to go, whether it's to a board table or to your senior executive team, and go, hey, this stuff is actually going to make a difference. I'm not going to get it right the first time, but we're going to start giving it a go and giving it a play. Because you know why? Customer-led experiences are those that stick, that help businesses grow, that help you build a cohort of raving advocates, and most importantly, long-term help you make money. But as you can see from here, there's either an investment in people or technology or infrastructure, and that can be hard. especially as you won't get those short-term gains. But I encourage you, especially those of you that can influence at the C-suite and at the boardroom table, that we have to, as a retail fraternity, stop just driving short-term year-on-year sales, because long-term that doesn't sustainably deliver the engagement or the profitability that you need to be able to be good retailers, but to be purposeful and make an impact on the lives of our customers. So with that, I would like to encourage you to do a couple of things. One is look for a point of friction in your business and think about how you can solve that with courage. Number two, if you think that I was really good, I swear a little bit sometimes. Shit's a joining word in Australia. It still comes out in my vocabulary, but if you think so, tell 2 other people about me and our business and what we do. But more importantly, go to rxgroup.co.nz and sign up, because what we do is every month is send out a newsletter focusing on this sort of stuff. What's happening in and around the world and what's making a difference. So good luck. The rest of the day is going to be incredibly exciting. I am going to apologise. I will leave at lunch because I want to go to bed. But it's been great speaking with you, and have a wonderful day.